The desert stretched endlessly under the hot sun, a golden sea of sand that shimmered and shifted with every breeze. Cale adjusted his wide-brimmed hat and squinted at the horizon. The scanners on his wrist beeped softly, marking the presence of valuable mineral deposits somewhere ahead. He had crossed this desert many times before, but each journey reminded him of its merciless nature. The desert was beautiful, but unforgiving. One wrong step could leave a traveler trapped or lost forever. Cale's boots sank slightly into the sand as he walked, the heat rising in waves from the dunes. He scanned the horizon again. There, something unusual caught his eye. At first, he thought it was a mirage, but the shape moved. It was human, struggling to climb a small ridge, each step looking more desperate than the last. Cale's heart skipped a beat. No one should be wandering alone in this part of the desert. He quickened his pace. As he approached, he could see the figure more clearly. It was a young woman, her clothes torn and dusty, her face pale from the sun. She was carrying a small pack, but it seemed almost too heavy for her weakened state. Every few steps she stumbled, almost falling face first into the sand. Cale called out, "Hey, are you okay?" The woman looked up, blinking against the sunlight. Her eyes were wide with panic, but relief flickered when she saw him. "Please, I can't make it," she gasped, her voice hoarse. Cale moved closer, careful not to startle her. "Don't worry, you're going to be fine. I'll help you." Her gaze darted to the horizon. They'll find me. If I don't reach them soon, I'm done for." Cale frowned. "Who are you trying to reach?" She shook her head weakly. "My people. My tribe. I got lost." "I shouldn't have come this far," Cale nodded. He had to think quickly. The desert wasn't forgiving to someone in her condition. "Come on," he said gently, kneeling to help her stand. "Lean on me. I'll get you to safety." With his help, the woman stood, swaying slightly. Cale held her steady, his other hand scanning the area for hazards. The sun beat down, making their progress slow and exhausting. Every step in the soft sand was a struggle, but Cale didn't complain. His focus was on keeping her upright and moving. After a while, she introduced herself. "Lyra," she whispered. "Cale," he replied. "We'll get you back to your tribe, Lyra. Just keep going a little longer." Her lips curved into a faint smile, though her exhaustion was clear. You saved me." Cale shrugged modestly. "I just didn't want to see anyone suffer out here. The desert takes too many lives." The journey continued, slow but steady. The sun climbed higher, and the heat became almost unbearable. Cale poured some water from his canteen into her hands. She drank gratefully, the liquid giving her strength to move. As they walked, Lyra told him about her tribe. She spoke of their hidden settlement deep in the desert, a community that had survived for generations using clever methods and knowledge of the harsh land. They relied on solar energy, underground water sources, and clever farming techniques. Cale listened in fascination. Despite the harshness of the desert, her tribe had made it thrive. Suddenly, a shadow passed over them. Cale looked up, squinting. A small sandstorm was forming in the distance, moving toward them faster than expected. The desert was full of surprises, and this could be dangerous for someone already weakened. "We need to find shelter," Cale shouted over the wind that had begun to pick up. He scanned the sand for anything that could protect them. Ahead, he spotted a rocky overhang, a natural shade in the otherwise open desert. He picked up Lyra in his arms, careful not to hurt her. "Hold on," he said, running as fast as he could across the sand. The storm drew closer, sand whipping around them in small gusts. Cale reached the rocks and laid her down gently. She coughed but seemed unharmed. Cale set up his small portable shade tent to shield her from the worst of the wind and sand. He pulled out a water bottle and some energy packs from his own supplies, offering them to her. "Here, eat something. You need your strength." Lyra ate slowly, looking at him with gratitude. You didn't even know me," she said softly. Why? Why help me? Cale shrugged, trying to hide his own worry. I couldn't just leave you out there. That's all. The sandstorm raged around them, but the rocky shelter kept them mostly safe. As the wind howled, Cale noticed something strange. In the distance, he saw faint shapes moving. At first, he thought it was just sand blowing, but as the storm cleared, he realized they were people, her tribe. Lyra's eyes widened. They came for me. Cale smiled, relieved. He knew the journey wasn't over, but seeing her tribe gave him hope. They would be safe now. He helped her to her feet, and together they walked toward the figures moving in the sand. The tribe welcomed them warmly, their faces a mixture of relief and curiosity. Lyra's mother, a wise woman with sharp eyes and a gentle voice, approached Cale. You have saved her life, she said solemnly. You are not just a stranger. You are special. Cale felt a little uncomfortable under the attention. I just did what anyone would do, he said, shaking his head. The tribe exchanged glances. One elder stepped forward. In our ways, a person who saves another in the desert is chosen by destiny. You have been chosen. Stranger. Cale's eyebrows rose. Chosen? For what? The elder smiled. For Lyra. You are now considered her destined partner, the one who will walk with her through life. Cale blinked, surprised. I didn't expect that. Lyra looked down, embarrassed but smiling faintly. They believe it is true, she whispered. But I don't know what to think yet. Cale nodded slowly. This was unexpected. He hadn't planned to become part of anyone's destiny, let alone this tribe's. But looking at Lyra, seeing her safe and alive, he felt something he hadn't expected, a sense of connection. The tribe led them to their settlement, a hidden oasis in the desert, filled with solar panels, water channels, and greenery that contrasted sharply with the surrounding sand. Children ran to greet Lyra, and adults nodded respectfully to Cale. It was clear that the community thrived through cooperation, knowledge, and respect for the desert. As they settled in for the evening, Cale and Lyra sat together, watching the sun sink below the dunes. The sky was painted in shades of pink and gold, a breathtaking sight in the desert's vastness. You know, Lyra said softly, I never thought anyone would find me out here. I almost gave up. Cale looked at her, his expression serious. I told you, I wouldn't let that happen. You're stronger than you think, Lyra. But sometimes, even the strong need help. She smiled faintly, touched by his words. Thank you, Cale, for saving me, and for believing I could make it. Cale looked out at the desert, the wind brushing against his face. He knew this was only the beginning. There were mysteries in this desert, secrets that the tribe had kept for generations, and strange phenomena he had never seen before. But for now, he was content. He had saved a life, and in doing so, had discovered a world full of wonder and resilience. The tribe gathered around a small fire, singing songs of gratitude and celebration. Cale felt a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. For the first time, he felt connected, not just to Lyra, but to something bigger than himself. As night fell, the desert cooled, the stars twinkling like diamonds across the vast sky. Cale knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, filled with unexpected trials, but he also knew that humanity had a way of surviving, of thriving even in the harshest conditions. And in saving Lyra, he had discovered that human spirit, resilient, courageous, and compassionate, was capable of remarkable things. He glanced at Lyra, who had finally fallen asleep under the soft glow of the fire. Cale smiled faintly. Perhaps destiny had a way of working after all. The next morning, the desert woke slowly. A gentle wind carried grains of sand across the dunes, sparkling under the rising sun. Cale stretched and rubbed his eyes, the warmth of the fire from last night fading as he stepped outside. The desert looked peaceful now, almost serene, but he knew its calm could change in an instant. Lyra was already awake. She sat near the water channel, washing her face with cool, clear water. Her movements were careful and practiced, each action smooth and efficient, a testament to life in the harsh desert. Kale watched her for a moment, impressed. She had survived alone in a place that could easily swallow someone unprepared. "Good morning," Kale said softly. Lyra looked up and smiled. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" "As well as one can sleep in a desert oasis," Kale replied with a small grin. "This place, it's incredible." Lyra nodded, her eyes bright. "Our home is hidden for a reason. The desert is beautiful, but dangerous to those who do not know it. We have learned to live with it, to use it, not fight it." Kale admired her confidence. He had wandered through many harsh worlds, seen many settlements, but few had such a balance between survival and harmony with their environment. The tribe began to stir. Children ran along the water channels, laughing as they chased each other, while adults tended to small gardens or repaired solar panels. Strange, delicate machines hummed softly, drawing energy from the sun and wind. It was a mixture of ancient knowledge and simple innovation. Kale realized that this community had found a way to thrive in a place where others might fail. Lyra led Kale to the center of the settlement, where her mother and several elders waited. They greeted Kale with a quiet dignity, nodding respectfully. Kale felt both nervous and honored under their attention. "You have brought Lyra back to us safely," Lyra's mother said, her voice calm but firm. "You have shown courage and wisdom in the desert. That is rare." Kale bowed slightly. "I only did what anyone would do. She needed help, and I could not ignore it." The elders exchanged glances, then nodded. One of them, a tall man with silver hair and kind eyes, stepped forward. "In our way, the one who saves another in the desert is chosen by fate. You are not just a visitor, Kale. You are now part of our story." Kale swallowed hard. He had expected gratitude, perhaps some curiosity, but not this. "Part of your story?" he repeated, unsure what that meant. "Yes," the elder said. "Our people believe that life in the desert is guided by signs. You have been chosen to walk beside Lyra, to help her, and learn from her. You will stay with us for as long as the desert allows." Kale glanced at Lyra. She looked nervous but also curious. I will stay," he said finally. "I want to understand your world." The tribe seemed pleased with his answer. Lyra's mother smiled softly. "Then let us begin. There is much to show you." Kale spent the day learning about the tribe's way of life. They used solar collectors to power small devices and cleverly designed channels to carry water from underground springs. They grew hardy plants in the desert soil, relying on techniques that combined observation, patience, and careful planning. Kale was impressed. He had seen advanced technology on other planets, but the way this tribe used simple tools in harmony with nature was remarkable. They did not dominate the desert. They worked with it. Lyra guided him through the settlement, explaining everything with pride. "These channels carry water from deep underground," she said. "We built them generations ago. The desert gives us many challenges, but it also gives us gifts if we know where to look." Kale knelt to examine a small solar collector, tracing his fingers over the smooth metal. "You have adapted so well here. It's amazing how much life can thrive in such a harsh place." Lyra smiled. "It is not just about survival, Kale. It is about respect. We respect the desert, and in return, it allows us to live." Kale nodded thoughtfully. There was wisdom in her words, a truth he had seen in other worlds, but never so clearly. The desert was not just a place to conquer. It was a place to understand. As the sun climbed higher, Kale noticed the tribe preparing for a gathering. Elders and adults arranged mats, brought out small containers of food, and set up decorations made from desert flowers and colorful threads. Children ran excitedly, eager to see what was coming. Lyra explained quietly, "We honor those who bring balance and harmony to our home. You will be recognized for saving me, and we will show you our gratitude. It is our way." Kale felt a mix of pride and nervousness. He was not used to ceremonies or attention, yet he understood that this was important to them. He watched as Lyra's mother began speaking, her voice carrying over the gathering. "Today," she said, "we honor a stranger who has proven that courage and kindness can shine even in the harshest of places. Kale, you have saved Lyra's life, and for that, you are part of our tribe." The community cheered softly, a warm and welcoming sound. Kale felt a strange happiness. For the first time in a long while, he felt connected to a group of people not just as a traveler passing through, but as someone who belonged. The ceremony continued with small gifts: woven cloths, tools made for survival, and tokens that represented the tribe's appreciation. Lyra handed Kale a simple pendant, carved from a rare desert stone. "This is to remind you of the desert, of our people, and of the day you became part of our family," she said softly. Kale took it, touched by the gesture. "I will wear it always," he promised. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and purple, the desert settled into a calm quiet. Kale and Lyra walked together to a nearby ridge, overlooking the settlement. The wind carried the scent of warm sand and desert flowers. "You know," Lyra said, "I never thought anyone would find me out here. I thought I was alone forever." "You're not alone anymore," Kale said gently. "And now you have people who care for you, who will support you. You don't have to face the desert alone." Lyra smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the colors of the sunset. "I'm glad you are here, Kale. Even if it is unexpected, it feels right." Kale nodded. He felt a connection not only with Lyra, but with the tribe as a whole. They had accepted him, welcomed him into their lives, and shown him a way of living that was both simple and extraordinary. That night, under a sky filled with countless stars, Kale learned the rhythm of the desert. He listened to the wind, the soft chatter of the tribe, and the distant cries of desert birds returning to their nests. The desert was alive, and the tribe thrived because they understood it. Kale realized that survival was not just about strength or skill, it was about understanding, patience, and cooperation. And in saving Lyra, he had become part of something bigger than himself. As he drifted to sleep under the soft glow of the tribe's lanterns, Kale wondered about the mysteries that still lay ahead. The desert was vast, and even this hidden oasis could not hold all its secrets. Strange phenomena sometimes appeared on the horizon: lights in the sky, unusual storms, and shifting sands that revealed hidden paths. Kale knew that he had only just begun to learn about this world, but for now, he was at peace. He had found safety, companionship, and a purpose. The tribe had welcomed him, Lyra had trusted him, and the desert had shown him its beauty. Tomorrow, Kale would explore more of the settlement, learn about the desert's secrets, and discover how humans could thrive in even the harshest environments. But tonight, he was content to rest, to feel the warmth of the fire and the quiet presence of people who had accepted him. The desert, vast and endless, seemed less lonely when shared with others, and Kale realized that perhaps, just perhaps, destiny had brought him here not by chance, but because he was meant to walk beside Lyra and the tribe that had welcomed them both. The desert was quiet that morning, the sun rising slowly over the dunes and casting long shadows across the golden sands. Kale woke early, feeling the cool breeze on his face. He stretched, thinking about the day ahead. Lyra had promised to show him something special, something deep in the desert that few outsiders had ever seen. As he walked toward the small water channel, he found Lyra waiting. She was dressed in lightweight clothes, suitable for travel. A scarf wrapped around her head to protect her from the sun. In her hand, she held a small map etched into a piece of leather, a detailed guide of paths through the desert. "Good morning," she said, smiling. "Are you ready?" Kale nodded, excitement tingling in his chest. "Ready as I'll ever be." "Where are we going?" Lyra pointed to a distant ridge. "We are going to the desert heart. It is a place sacred to our tribe. Few outsiders have seen it, and fewer still have walked its paths safely. But you have proven yourself, Kale. I want you to see it. Kale's curiosity grew. He had traveled across harsh worlds and seen strange lands, but there was a promise of mystery in her voice that made him eager to follow. They left the oasis behind, the settlement disappearing behind the dunes as they moved deeper into the desert. The wind whispered around them, carrying the scent of hot sand and distant flowers. The terrain was challenging. Soft sands slowed their steps, and sharp stones occasionally cut through the surface, making the path tricky. But Kale moved carefully, guiding Lyra when needed. As they walked, Lyra explained the significance of the desert heart. Our ancestors believed this place holds the wisdom of the desert, she said. It is where the desert shows its secrets. Water, food, shelter, all can be found if you know how to listen and watch. Kale nodded. He had learned much about her tribe already, but this sounded different. This was more than survival, it was understanding the desert itself. After several hours, they came to a narrow canyon. The walls rose high on either side, carved smooth by centuries of wind and sand. Sunlight streamed through gaps in the rocks, creating patterns on the ground that shifted as they moved. This is the entrance, Lyra said softly. The desert heart begins here. Kale peered into the canyon. It was beautiful in its own way, a hidden world carved by nature itself. He stepped carefully, following Lyra as she led the way. Inside, the canyon opened into a small valley. The sand here was a brighter gold, and strange plants grew in neat clusters along the edges. A gentle stream wound through the middle, fed by an underground spring. Small stone structures dotted the valley, showing signs of careful craftsmanship. Kale's eyes widened. This is incredible. How did your people find this? Lyra smiled. We learn from the desert, not against it. Our ancestors followed the patterns of wind, water, and sand. They listened to the desert, and it guided them here. Kale knelt beside the stream, letting the cool water run through his hands. It feels alive, he said softly, like the desert itself is watching us. Lyra nodded. It is. The desert heart is alive with energy. It gives life to those who respect it, but it can hide from those who take without care. They spent the next few hours exploring the valley. Kale marveled at the plants, many of which were unknown to him, and at the small structures built to collect water and store food. Lyra explained each design, each idea, showing how her people had created a sustainable environment in one of the harshest deserts in the galaxy. As they walked deeper, Kale noticed a strange formation of rocks ahead. They were stacked carefully, forming a kind of natural arch. Behind it, a faint glow shimmered, changing colors as the sunlight shifted. This is it, Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. Kale stepped closer, feeling a mixture of awe and curiosity. The glow was soft but intense, almost like it was alive. He reached out his hand, but Lyra stopped him. Not yet, she said. The desert reveals its secrets only to those who understand patience and trust. You must observe first. Kale stepped back, watching as Lyra moved closer to the glow. She knelt and touched the sand carefully, tracing patterns that made the light shimmer brighter. It was as if the desert itself responded to her touch. Kale was fascinated. He had seen technology and natural wonders on many worlds. But this was different. It was not just survival, it was connection. Lyra's people had learned to live in harmony with the desert, and the desert heart was proof of that knowledge. Suddenly, Kale noticed something moving in the distance. A group of small, desert-adapted creatures emerged from the rocks. They had long legs and thin bodies, moving quickly and gracefully across the sand. They paused to observe Kale and Lyra, but made no sign of aggression. They are harmless, Lyra said softly. The desert heart welcomes those who respect it, even the smallest life forms. Kale smiled. This place, it teaches patience, understanding, and care. Not just survival, but wisdom. Lyra looked at him, her eyes shining. You are beginning to see. The desert is more than sand and heat. It has lessons, and it rewards those who learn them. They spent the afternoon exploring hidden nooks of the valley, discovering small pools of water, rare plants, and ancient markings etched into the rocks. Each discovery was a lesson in harmony, a reminder that life in the desert required balance and respect. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, Lyra led Kael to the highest ridge in the valley. From there, the entire desert heart was visible, a breathtaking panorama of sand, rock, and life thriving in harmony. Kael took a deep breath, feeling the vastness of the desert and the beauty of the hidden world. I never imagined something like this existed, he said quietly. It's perfect. Lyra smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. It is a gift, Kael. And now, you are part of it. You have learned to walk with the desert, not against it. Kael felt a deep sense of respect for Lyra and her people. They had not just survived, they had created a sanctuary, a place of knowledge and balance. And in doing so, they reminded him that humanity's greatest strength was not in domination, but in understanding and cooperation. As they began their walk back to the oasis, Kael noticed the desert changing with the fading light. Shadows grew longer, the temperature cooled, and the air felt alive with energy. Strange lights flickered on the horizon, the remnants of the day's solar energy interacting with the desert's minerals. Do you see that? Kael asked, pointing to the horizon. Lyra nodded. Sometimes, the desert shows us signs. These lights are the energy of the land. They guide us, warn us, and sometimes, they teach us. Kael looked at her, admiration in his eyes. You and your people, you have learned so much from the desert. I feel like I have only just begun to understand it. Lyra smiled. And that is the way of the desert heart. There is always more to learn. The desert is patient. It will teach you if you are willing to listen. By the time they returned to the oasis, the stars were beginning to appear in the clear night sky. The tribe had prepared a small meal for them, and the settlement glowed softly with lanterns and solar lights. Kael felt a sense of peace he had rarely experienced in his travels. That night, as Kael lay under the stars, he thought about the day's discoveries. The desert heart was not just a place, it was a teacher, a sanctuary, and a reminder of what humanity could achieve when it worked with nature instead of against it. He thought about Lyra, her strength, her wisdom, and her connection to the land. He realized that their journey together was more than chance. Saving her had been the first step, but now he was learning from her and from her people. He was becoming part of something greater than himself. The desert was vast, full of mysteries and hidden wonders. But Kael understood something now that he hadn't before. Survival was not enough. Life, understanding, and connection were what mattered. And in the heart of this desert, he had found all three. As he drifted to sleep, the soft glow of the desert heart lingering in his mind, Kael felt ready for whatever mysteries the desert would reveal next. The morning sun rose slowly over the desert, painting the sands with soft shades of gold and orange. Kael woke to the gentle sounds of the oasis stirring to life. Birds called from the distant dunes, and the soft hum of the tribe's solar devices filled the air. He sat up and looked around, thinking about the journey that had brought him here. The desert was no longer just a place of survival. It had become a place of learning, of wonder, and of choices that carried weight far beyond the sands. Lyra appeared at the edge of the camp, carrying a small satchel. Kael, she said, her voice calm but serious. Today we go to the desert heart again. There is something you must see. Kael rose, curiosity and anticipation mixing in his chest. Another part of it? He asked. I thought we had explored most of the hidden valley yesterday. Lyra shook her head. There is more. Something the tribe has kept secret for generations. It is a gift of the desert. A tool that can change our lives, but it must be used wisely. Kael nodded. He had learned that the desert did not give freely. Its secrets required respect, patience, and careful thought. I am ready, he said. Together, they left the oasis behind, moving through the familiar dunes with practiced steps. The sun climbed higher, warming the sand and making each step heavier, yet Cale felt a sense of purpose he had not felt in years. This journey was not just about exploration, it was about responsibility. After several hours, they reached the familiar entrance to the desert heart. The narrow canyon opened into the hidden valley, bathed in the soft glow of sunlight. Cale's eyes immediately went to a large stone structure he had not noticed before. It was partially covered with sand and vines, but intricate markings were visible on its surface. Lyra led him closer. "This is the Chamber of Life," she said softly. "It was built by our ancestors. Inside, there is a technology that can help the tribe thrive, even in the harshest desert conditions. But it has rules. It cannot be used recklessly. Only those who understand balance may unlock its power." Cale looked at the structure, awe filling him. He had seen advanced technology on many planets, but this was different. It was not just machinery, it was a legacy. A connection between human ingenuity and the desert itself. Lyra reached out and brushed her hand over the markings. The stone began to glow faintly, and a soft hum filled the air. Cale felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of excitement and reverence. "You see," Lyra said, "our people have lived with this knowledge for generations. It allows us to create water reservoirs, enhance soil fertility, and store energy from the sun and wind, but it can only be used with care. If misused, it can harm the balance we have created." Cale nodded slowly. "So it's not just about power, it's about responsibility." Lyra smiled. "Exactly. And now, Cale, you must decide. Will you help the tribe unlock its full potential? Or will you leave it as it is? The choice is yours. But remember, the desert always watches those who make decisions here." Cale felt the weight of her words. He had traveled through harsh worlds, faced dangers, and solved problems. But this choice felt different. It was not about survival, it was about ethics, about respect for a community and a land that had given him so much. "I want to help," he said finally. "But I will only do it with care, with guidance from you and your people. I do not want to disturb the balance." Lyra's eyes brightened. "Then let us proceed together." They entered the chamber, the walls glowing softly with embedded crystals that seemed to store energy from the sun. The air was cool and fragrant, with the scent of desert flowers that grew nearby. Cale marveled at the design. The stones were arranged in precise patterns, and small channels directed energy to different parts of the valley. Lyra guided him to a control panel made of carved stone and metal. "This is the heart of the system," she explained. "It responds to intention and respect. You must think carefully about what you wish to achieve." Cale studied the panel, noticing the intricate symbols and lines. He felt a strange connection, as if the desert itself was speaking to him. I think I understand," he said. "We can enhance the water flow, strengthen the soil, and store energy for the entire settlement. But we must do it gradually, carefully, so nothing is damaged." Lyra nodded. "Yes, patience and understanding are key. The desert rewards those who listen." Together, they began to activate the system. Cale followed Lyra's instructions, touching the carvings gently and focusing on the balance of energy. The crystals glowed brighter, channels of light spreading through the chamber and beyond into the valley. Cale could feel the energy moving, almost like a pulse, connecting everything: the plants, the water, the rocks, and the people. As the system activated, the valley began to change. Water flowed more freely through the channels, reaching areas that had been dry. The plants seemed to grow taller and greener almost instantly. Small devices hummed as they collected and stored solar and wind energy efficiently. The desert heart was thriving, responding to the careful guidance of Cale and Lyra. Cale stepped back, amazed. "It's alive," he whispered. "Not like a machine, but like a living system. The desert itself is helping us." Lyra smiled, pride shining in her eyes. "It is a partnership. The desert gives, but it also watches. We must always remember to respect it." For a moment, they stood in silence, taking in the transformation. Cale realized that the power of this chamber was not in control, but in cooperation. By understanding and listening, they had unlocked the desert's potential without disturbing its balance. But then Cale felt a pang of doubt. What if he had made a mistake? What if the system reacted differently at night, when the temperature dropped or the winds shifted? He turned to Lyra. "Is it safe?" he asked. Lyra placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "The desert is never entirely predictable, but with patience and care, we can maintain harmony. That is what our ancestors taught us. And now you are part of it." Cale nodded, feeling a mix of relief and responsibility. He had been given a gift, the chance to help a community thrive in one of the harshest environments in the galaxy, and he understood now that true strength was not in force or power, but in wisdom, respect, and cooperation. They spent the rest of the day checking the system, ensuring that every channel, every plant, and every device worked in harmony. Cale learned more about the desert than he had in years of wandering. He saw how energy flowed naturally, how water could be conserved, and how life adapted in ways both simple and extraordinary. As the sun began to set, Lyra led Cale to a high ridge overlooking the valley. The desert heart glowed softly below them, the channels and plants reflecting the last light of the sun. Cale took a deep breath. "This is amazing. I didn't know a desert could be so full of life, so alive." Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the golden glow. "It is alive because we respect it, and because you chose to help, not dominate. That is what makes the difference." Cale looked at her, feeling a deep sense of connection and purpose. He had come to this desert as a traveler, but now he was part of something greater, a community, a living system, and a story that stretched across generations. "Thank you," he said softly, "for trusting me." Lyra shook her head. "No, Cale. We trusted the desert, and it trusted you. That is all." As night fell, the valley glowed under the stars. The desert was quiet, yet alive with energy. Cale realized that this place, the desert heart, was more than a home for a tribe. It was a testament to what humanity could achieve when it worked with nature, listened to its lessons, and respected its power. He lay under the stars that night, thinking about the choice he had made. It was not just about activating the chamber, it was about understanding, patience, and responsibility. He had learned that power without respect could destroy, but guidance and cooperation could create something extraordinary. And for the first time in a long while, Cale felt at peace. He had faced a challenge, made a choice, and helped to shape a future where life could thrive in the desert. He knew there would be more challenges ahead, but he also knew that he had learned one of the most important lessons of all: to walk with the desert, not against it. The wind whispered through the valley, carrying the scent of sand and flowers, and Cale smiled. The desert had secrets, and he had discovered one of its greatest treasures, and now he was ready for whatever mysteries awaited him next. The desert woke to a soft glow of dawn. The sky stretched endlessly above the dunes, painted in shades of orange, pink, and gold. Cale stood at the edge of the oasis, watching the light reflect off the water channels. The desert heart thrived below him, transformed by the careful work he and Lyra had done. The once hidden valley now flourished with life, a testament to patience, respect, and human ingenuity. Lyra appeared beside him, her eyes shining with the same awe he felt. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "The desert heart has never looked like this before." Cale nodded. "It's alive, not just with plants and water, but with energy, purpose, hope." They walked together toward the settlement, the soft sand warm beneath their feet. The tribe was already awake, preparing for the day, their movements filled with rhythm and grace. Children laughed and ran along the water channels, while adults checked the plants, adjusted solar panels, and tended to the animals. The oasis buzzed with life, yet it felt peaceful, balanced, and harmonious. As Cale and Lyra approached, the elders gathered in the central square, their expressions calm yet expectant. Lyra's mother stepped forward, her eyes reflecting pride and warmth. "Kale," she said, "you have helped our people in a way few outsiders ever could. You have learned our ways, respected our desert, and guided us to a new path. For that, we honor you." Kale felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride, humility, and gratitude. He had never imagined that his journey through the desert would lead to this moment, not just saving a life, but becoming part of a community, part of something greater than himself. Lyra stepped beside him, her hand brushing his lightly. She looked at the elders, then at Kale, and spoke with quiet certainty. "Kale has shown courage, wisdom, and care. He has chosen to walk with the desert and with us. He is more than a visitor, he is family." The tribe smiled and nodded, their faces glowing with approval. Children ran up to Kale, offering small flowers and woven bracelets as tokens of welcome. Kale accepted them with a gentle smile, feeling a connection he had never known before. The elders guided him to the center of the settlement, where a small ceremony was prepared. Soft mats were laid on the ground, and the tribe placed small lanterns around them, casting a warm, golden glow. Kale felt a mixture of nervousness and honor. This was more than recognition, it was a commitment, a bond between him, Lyra, and the desert itself. Lyra's mother spoke again, her voice steady and kind. "Today, we celebrate not only survival, but cooperation, understanding, and the strength of human spirit. Kale, your actions have shown that humanity can thrive even in the harshest environments when guided by respect and wisdom." Kyle bowed slightly, humbled by her words. I am honored. I never expected this. I only did what I thought was right." The tribe responded with soft laughter and nods. One elder stepped forward, holding a small carved stone, smooth and warm from the sun. "This is for you, Kale. It represents balance, harmony, and the desert's trust. Keep it as a reminder that you are part of this community." Kale accepted the stone, feeling the weight of responsibility and belonging. He looked at Lyra, who nodded with quiet pride. Their journey together had started with a rescue, but it had grown into something far deeper. A partnership, a shared destiny, and a connection to the land that would last for generations. The tribe led Kale and Lyra to a nearby ridge overlooking the desert heart. From this vantage point, the valley below glowed with life. Water flowed through the channels, plants swayed in the gentle wind, and small energy devices hummed softly as they collected and stored solar power. The desert, once harsh and unforgiving, now thrived under the careful guidance of human ingenuity and cooperation. Kale breathed deeply, feeling a sense of awe and responsibility. "It's amazing," he said softly. "All this. It feels like the desert itself is alive, guiding us, helping us." Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the golden light. "It is. And now, we are part of it. The desert heart is alive because we respect it, nurture it, and understand it. That is the true power of humanity." They spent the morning walking through the settlement, visiting different areas and checking the systems they had activated. Kale marveled at the harmony between technology and nature, the way the tribe had learned to harness energy without disturbing the environment, how water was conserved and distributed, and how plants and animals thrived together. Everywhere he looked, Kale saw evidence of patience, respect, and cooperation. The tribe had not just survived in the desert, they had flourished. And he had played a part in that growth. As the sun reached its peak, Lyra led him to a small garden at the edge of the oasis. The plants were vibrant and healthy, nurtured by the water channels and enriched soil. Lyra handed Kale a small watering tool, her hands guiding his. Together, they tended the plants, working side by side in silence, connected not only by their actions but by a growing understanding and trust. Kale looked at her, admiration and respect clear in his eyes. "You have built something incredible here, Lyra. I've seen many settlements, many worlds, but none like this. It's alive." "Alive," Lyra smiled softly. It is because we listen, Kale. The desert speaks to those who pay attention. And now, you are part of that conversation. You've earned your place here. The afternoon passed in peaceful activity. Kale helped adjust solar collectors, repaired small water channels, and even learned some of the tribe's traditional methods for planting and harvesting. He felt a sense of accomplishment, not from conquering the desert, but from working with it, understanding it, and helping life thrive. As evening approached, the tribe gathered for a celebration. Children ran with lanterns, adults sang softly, and the elders told stories of the desert heart and its guardians. Kale and Lyra joined the circle, feeling the warmth and connection of a community that had accepted them both. Lyra's mother approached Kale, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. "You have done more than we could have hoped," she said. "You have shown that humanity's greatest strength is not in force, but in understanding, cooperation, and care. You are part of our family, and the desert heart will thrive because of you." Kale bowed his head, moved by her words. "Thank you," he said softly. "I only did what I felt was right. But now I see. The desert has taught me more than I ever imagined." The celebration continued into the night. The desert calm and alive under a sky filled with stars. Lanterns flickered, casting a golden glow over the valley, and the tribe's laughter and music blended with the soft hum of solar devices and flowing water. Kale felt a deep sense of belonging, of purpose, and of hope. Later, Kale and Lyra walked to the ridge, overlooking the desert heart once more. The valley glowed softly under the starlight, a living testament to patience, respect, and the human spirit. "You know," Kale said quietly, "I never imagined that a desert could be so full of life, or that helping someone could lead to this connection, this purpose." Lyra smiled, leaning slightly against him. "It is not just about helping," she said. "It is about understanding, listening, and working together. That is how life thrives, even in the harshest places. And now, we are part of that life." Kale looked at her, a sense of peace settling over him. He had come to this desert as a traveler, as a rescuer, but he was leaving it as part of something greater, a community, a home, and a shared destiny with Lyra. The wind whispered around them, carrying the scent of sand and flowers, and Kale felt a quiet joy. The desert had secrets, challenges, and lessons, but it had also given him purpose, connection, and hope. As they walked back to the oasis, Kale realized that humanity's true strength was not in conquest or power, but in understanding, cooperation, and respect. The tribe had thrived not because they fought the desert, but because they listened, adapted, and worked together. And now, he had learned that same lesson, and had become part of a living, breathing system of life, hope, and growth. The night settled over the desert heart, the stars twinkling like diamonds in the sky. Kale and Lyra stood side by side, looking over the valley that now flourished under their care. The desert had taught them, guided them, and welcomed them, and together, they would continue to walk with it, learning, growing, and thriving in harmony. Kale smiled softly. For the first time, he understood what it meant to belong not just to a place or to a person, but to something greater than himself. He had saved a life, yes, but in doing so, he had found a home, a purpose, and a shared destiny with Lyra and her tribe. The desert heart was alive, and so was humanity, resilient, wise, and full of hope. And under the endless sky, Kale knew that this was only the beginning of a life full of discovery, cooperation, and wonder. Together with Lyra, he would face the future, guided by the desert and strengthened by the bonds they had forged.